I have made the case that we can have $70 trillion economy of the allies together. And we have to pull together the hyperscale the way China has, because we can do that the way we are doing the coordination of military today with Israel and America. They are hand in hand. There's a central coordination of military war. We have to do the same thing in the creation of industries with hyperscale that has the market for 8 countries, and then we take China on.
Welcome to Leadership, the podcast where leadership meets real-world insights. In each episode, you can eavesdrop on exclusive conversations with top thought leaders, best-selling authors, and experts in leadership, communication, relationships, culture, and everything else that shapes your effectiveness in the workplace and in your personal life. Leadership is here for you. Now, here's our host, himself a seasoned coach and best-selling author, Dr. Roger Dean Duncan.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Leadership, the podcast where we explore the mindset, skills, and behaviors that help you succeed in every relationship in your life, especially those in which people look to you for leadership. Let's start this episode with this scenario. Imagine you're running a company. Sales are strong, margins are healthy, your supply chain is humming, and then without warning, a foreign government flips a switch, and everything your operation depends on stops moving. No emergency, no war, not a single shot fired, just a switch. That is not hypothetical. According to my guest on this episode of Leadership, that switch has already been built, and it is in the hands of the president of China. My guest, joining us from Mumbai, India, is one of the most respected business advisors on the planet. Over the past 60 years, Dr. Charan has counseled the leaders of companies like GE, Bank of America, Toyota, Intel, Honeywell, Pfizer, and more than 200 other global giants. He's advised roughly 100 corporate boards. He earned a doctorate in corporate governance from Harvard Business School, and he's written more than 36 books, including the #1 New York Times bestseller, Execution, and beloved classics like What the CEO Wants You to Know, The Leadership Pipeline, The High Potential Leader, and Talent Wins. But his latest book may be his most urgent. It's called China's 90% Model. The subtitle is China Has America by the Throat. Here's How to Fight Back and Win. It's a masterclass in understanding the most consequential economic and geopolitical contest of our time. Ram argues, with data, first-hand boardroom experience, and the precision of a world-class strategist, that China has been executing a deliberate, decades-long plan to dominate the industries that power modern life and national security, and that most CEOs, policymakers, and citizens have been asleep while it's happened. Dr. Ram Charan, welcome to Leadership.
Roger, I'm honored to be there with you. I am here to serve the people. I will share the lessons on the basis of facts.
That's what we're asking for. Now let's begin, if we could, with the title. What exactly is the 90% model, and why do you believe it's the heart of China's economic and political strategy?
President Xi initiated that they select 10 industries and produce capacity in China equal to the 90% of the total demand in the world. This way you have hyperscale. The marginal cost of the last unit is very, very low. You sell that to overseas, even though you may incur some loss, and then you bring hard cash home, be it dollars, be it euro, be it yen. And this way, he got a trade surplus last year, 1.2 trillion. It's hard cash, hard currencies, It's used to buy technology, buy companies, and mostly to fund the next 10 industries. Same strategy and used for military. He runs China like a company, like a GE. You are told which industries to build, get the lowest cost, have the depreciation of RMB, sell it. It's okay to incur loss, but we bring $1 trillion worth hard cash. This way, they have now accumulated 7.4 trillion. I'm able to trace 3.4 trillion. And I believe in 2006, that number, 1.2 trillion last year, will exceed 1.5 trillion because no actionable, effective action has taken by the West to stop the model.
Sounds like maybe people have been asleep at the switch.
No, they are working, but they don't have a good answer yet.
Not yet. Now, many people might simply call this aggressive capitalism. Why do you see it as something more strategic and more dangerous?
It is, but there is a purpose. It's in Mandarin. It's all there. It began with President Hu that the American model in China will destroy CCP. So he concocted, wrote the papers that China must create a model that will first capture China under full control. Second, destroy the industrial base of the Western countries, particularly America. That has been a philosophy. That's a Lenin's philosophy, and it is without firing a shot. So they have been succeeding. They have a very comprehensive strategy. They have encircled the West. They have the 90% model. They have built the favorable votes for them through 160 countries by giving loans. They use coercion power if anybody doesn't go with it. It's a very brilliant strategy to encircle the West and destroy its power. It's officially announced to reduce power of America and the Western countries. People here are not aware of it. Why public not aware of it? Because the goods they get from China are very, very low price, good quality. So they enjoy it. Stock market goes up. And that is the reason people are not aware what's happening. That's a part of the strategy, that you go on the industrial base, public does not know it, and public enjoys cheaper, high quality material. So in democracy, to succeed, public support is very important. And that is not happening yet.
So, what industries in the West have already been severely weakened by this model?
Well, here is factual. Roughly 6-7 years ago, America had the solar industry. It's gone. The furniture is gone. The toys is gone. So there's a list of 10 industries that are basically gone. We had them 7 years ago, and nobody cared because they took the technology, we gave it to them. They got our people going to China, sleeping on the floor, training the people of China, or they build a company, and the companies of the employees of these companies were then taken by the Chinese and then created the same thing, build 90% capacity, lowest price, lowest cost, you lose market share, your costs go up, and then you have to move out. It's happening. People can verify.
Yes. So which sectors are most at risk next?
Yes. Number one, again, solar continues, batteries, EVs, pharma is very, very, very vulnerable. Rail equipment, they have targeted aerospace, aircraft. They're actually going to get the technology from the West, very developed. Chips is on the line. Apparel, textiles, shoes, they're still on. China is the largest supplier of apparel in the world. And it's very cheap, and therefore people can't compete here.
So at what point does this supply chain dependence become a national security threat?
It already has.
It sounds like it.
No, it's a fact. It's not something somebody has to guess. President Xi has the finger that he can stop at will within a week almost any industry by stopping the chokehold of certain kinds of inputs, including pharma, chemical, batteries, auto. He probably can't do much in aerospace, but you do because you're going to use the rare earths in the aerospace. Our defense industry depends on it. So Washington knows it. Bipartisan people know it. I have met the industries that are affected. They know it. Trump picked it up. He knows it. And the key point is public is not supporting, press is not supporting. They are on the ideology of free trade. Well, there is no free trade, has not been there for 30 years because people have been manipulating the currency. Would you believe half the trade deficit of the United States is by the allies? The greatest culprit is Japan. It has destroyed the auto industry of America. There's no Chinese car in America. Japanese destroyed that. High-tech industry, they destroyed that by currency manipulation and accumulated huge reserves. The largest holder of treasuries is Japan. It's not China. So Trump is dealing with it. He's getting them there.
So you say that, I understand, the tide is turning, that for the first time, the 90% model is under direct attack. What specific indicators give you confidence that America is finally waking up?
Well, first, I would not say it's directly under attack. Efforts are being made, but it's not under attack yet.
Mm-hmm.
It is the cautionary stuff. Don't give the technology, watch it. Second, build inside America and the friendly countries, getting the investments, government getting investments, finding, assigning people for full-time job is to put together how to build the rare earth supply, processing, invest money. Those are the kinds of things going on. And they are not coherent. Piecemeal here, piecemeal there. I have made the case that we can have $70 trillion economy of the allies together. And we have to pull together the hyperscale the way China has, because we can do that, the way we are doing the coordination of military today with Israel and America. They are hand in hand. There's a central coordination of military war. We have to do the same thing in the creation of industries with hyperscale that has the market for 7 countries, 8 countries, and then we take China on.
So you write that the people who built China's manufacturing capacity, at least many of them, are still alive, and many of them are in the West.
Yes.
What would it take to mobilize that expertise for a manufacturing renaissance at home?
So I'm doing it in India. In India, as you know, there are wealthy families, wealthy companies, they call promoters. So I have now met with a family and they have a business. And their business involved areas of electronics. So what we have done to self-sufficiency with the goal of 3 years, not depend on China, bringing Chinese know-how. And would you believe the people can't wait to come who are the American origin to come to India? So their motivation is not the issue. Issue is who is putting these plans together, how clearly they think, how they say we are committed to it, and underline, the government of that country has to do something to prevent preemptive selling by China at dirt cheap prices. So now in India, certain things, Mr. Modi has banned some of the incoming materials from China. So is Trump.
Right. So you describe convergence as an operating system for the free world, not a summit, not a declaration, but a coordinated economic front. What does convergence actually look like in day-to-day practice?
I want that, and I propose that. And good news is Donald Trump has heard it because I gave a Fox interview. It so happened he happens to watch it. How do I know? He called your counterpart, told her that I watched it. I want this guy's phone number. So that's how I know. And here, the idea here is exactly how we coordinate and put together as one unit in fighting a military war. We can do the same thing in the economic war. It's being done with Netanyahu and Trump together in the Iran war. It's been written out. They're doing it together. They rehearsed together. They began some 6 months ago as a coordinated, as one integral unit. We did that in World War II. It's happening today in Iran.
Well, now you describe a corporate war room as essential, a real-time tracking system for early warning system or signals. What should that war room look like? And what are the indicators that every board should be monitoring?
So I want you to know, Roger, I put that in the companies now. And here, these companies are highly dependent on China. That was the reason it was put in. But there are other reasons. The Washington actions taking place of all kinds, the tariff here, tariff there, changes there, and so on. So first thing is they have the 4 operating people meet every morning. These are the people, production people, supply chain people. Second, they look at overnight what is being said and what is being done. There are 2 different things. What is being done becomes the base of facts. What is being said is a signal what might come, might not come. So over time, you begin to see, is there a pattern evolving? So we know one thing. It is absolute truth. You pick up all those detections, put through the chat GPT over a month period, you begin to see the pattern very quickly. And then say, what are we ready for? So this information comes from press, and this information comes from the suppliers, from the customers, and then the skill is detecting what matters. Today, we can do that through algorithms and put everything in. It will give you ranking, it will give you pattern. And then you say, okay, these are the early warning signals. Do they matter? And if they do, what do we need to prepare? You are preemptive.
Yes. Well, Ram, you write that middle managers are the invisible casualties of this war. Their jobs disappear as industries are destroyed. What is their role in the rebuilding effort, and what should they be doing right now?
Yeah. So if the industry is destroyed, they have to leave. There's no choice. They are destroyed. And so we say that the juice of life is learning. Most middle managers, are young, 35, 40. They have 40 years to go as a working life.
Right.
So they're going to learn new tools. So one of the new tools is not negotiable. Learn the application of digitization. Lots is available online. Second, they got to learn new industries. Lot is available. So, Roger, I'm very lucky in my life to work for billionaires in almost all major countries. I got a great relationship. A good number of those are high school dropouts. So how did they get there? They are the best learners in life. They know they knew nothing. Middle managers have to be lifelong best learners. So I go to so many companies, and I ask the people who have made MBAs, because I interact with them in the company. So I sit down and I say, when did you graduate? 3 years ago. What you're doing this analysis, right? Tell me, what do you read? But I read the newspapers. What else do you read? They stop learning.
Yeah, that's frightening.
I asked, what's the new skill you're learning? I do the job. I say, yeah, well, what's the new one you're on? So then I take their founder's curve. I show them by curve plotting that here is his curve of learning. He was 18, that's what he learned. 22, something came, that's what he learned. And I said, look at his curve of learning. What's yours? Eyes open. Because this thing God gave us has unlimited capacity. The brain has unlimited capacity. And it creates More data of the right kind you put in, the more creativity it creates. And that is how the algorithms are used. That's how we build all this processing. So if you're not feeding this thing anything, you're not going to go very far.
Your change initiative has the budget. The strategy looks solid, and everyone's nodding along in the meetings. But for some reason, it's going nowhere. Dr. Roger Dean Duncan knows why. After 40 years in the trenches with top business leaders, he knows that change fails when organizations lack the right foundations: trust, accountability, and real communication. Dr. Duncan's free 10-minute assessment shows you exactly where your organization stands. Answer a few straightforward questions that reveal your true change readiness level. Don't waste months discovering the hard way. Get your free assessment today at leadershop.net/change. Again, that's leadershop.net/change.
Well, if you're a CEO today, what's the first strategic question you should ask about your supply chain?
Okay. The first thing I do, which is my philosophy, by the way, people before strategy. I've been saying from the age of 14, I said, forget all this nonsense. It's people, it's people, it's people. So first question, do you have the right head of the supply chain? Right team for the supply chain.
Right.
If they define what's right, many people don't. They're doing transactions. They're not thinking outside political factors, only when they're pressed to do so. They're not forecasting what's happening. So that's the first one. Second, I want supply chain, manufacturing, and the sales forecasting together in one room. So they coordinate, converge together, and forecast to see what's coming in 2 years, 1 year. And look at the factors, political, also transportation, logistics. And now we have algorithms available, how much storage they have to do. But we can't allow that to unlimited con because it requires cash. So I need to put a finance person there and say, what is the way we're going to do this? That we are continuing to manufacture and supply. To do that, we have to train these 4 people, and the supply chain head is a different breed now than it used to be.
Well, it's a different world now.
It is.
So what signals should companies watch for that suggest they are about to be undercut by the 90% model?
Okay, that one is very clear, which I've done for one company. They should calculate the capacity base, 90% capacity base, the cost structure of the China industry, China company, and see what is the cost of the incremental unit. And that cost in one case was $1 as an index. And the cost of that was $3 in India. It was done thoroughly and said there's a 3-to-1 ratio. That's what you need to do. And then you go to the government to take an analysis and have a credible analysis. And then the government has to do something.
What gives you confidence that the United States and its allies can still compete effectively?
It totally depends on, for the next 3 years, how Trump leads this coalition. At the same time, if there is none, watch each country having a trade deficit, and that will create problems to their currency. It's happening in India. The currency, to put it politely, is under attack. The deficit with China is going to increase.
So let's talk briefly about artificial intelligence.
Yes.
What role will technology, especially AI, play in this competition?
Yeah, Roger, I am very lucky. I am using AI to make multi-billion-dollar decisions with my clients. I'm not talking about Meta, AWS, all these guys. I leave them alone. I'm applying the actual algorithms to business problems and creating market cap. It's not a rocket science. It is the business people have to ask the question, how do I increase the velocity of usage of an equipment. Take a cement kiln. How do I increase the quality and the output of that kiln? By a ratio of 25%. That's what it's got to do. Now we can get the people who are technologists in that area, and we get the AI people who put the sensors in, measure it, suggest it, that will create a different mix, different temperature. We're doing that now. That's how AI is making the difference to making the business better, making the business for faster growth. Now, I want you to watch Jamie Dimon, Chief Executive of JP Morgan, announce he's going to invest $2 billion a week.
A week.
Think of a bank a week. It's like Amazon is spending $84 billion this year. Now, he is going to use AI in banking to an extent never imagined, and also to an extent like these 7 guys do: Tesla, Amazon, Meta, Google. Imaginative. I have a ton of confidence in it. I've known him for 30 years. That's what it does. It doesn't talk. It simply announces it, and I guarantee it will be done.
Well, as with many things in life, success depends on the quality of the questions you ask.
You bet. That was it. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I have a Chinese company that I've just finished the assignment. They had a $3 billion USD business. They called me up. I've done that for a long time, by the way. I don't go to China. They were in Tokyo. And they were losing 1 billion renminbi a year. I applied the algorithms, and they now make 750 million RMB a year. It took me about 6 months to get it going. And I'm no genius in algorithms. I can get a specialist in algorithms. They exist, but I defined the problem. I got them to tell me, stop the losses. I defined the problem where the problem was. I said, we're going to apply here mathematics. Mathematics, algorithm is mathematics, Roger.
Sure. Now, you've spent a lifetime studying leadership. Your books are like The Leadership Pipeline, the High Potential Leadership. What specific leadership qualities does this moment in history demand that most current executives don't have?
There are a lot of buzzwords, Roger. The most important today, this is the timeless, most important. Getting the right person in the right job. And a large number of leaders fail in that. So the job has changed, so will be the characteristics of the people required to do that are more important today. So number one, that's most likely will be needed. I'm talking CEO level. That his left foot is in the outside, learning, knowing what's happening on the outside. And I mean specifics, preemptive, sensing, not just reading newspapers, not just having intelligence unit by the side of his office. No, it's got to go to networks, talk to the people, go to the ground, look at it, invest at least 10% of his time just smelling what's happening on the outside. We have networks. You go to Washington, you go to other people. And out of that, a mental skill, what is new, what is likely to be new. And if I get a little ahead on this, do I have the courage to do something, to test something, to go ahead of something? Should I really think about the business? That's number one requirement today. I had one today where the HR person said, we have not been investing enough time of the top group, what's happening on the outside. We don't know one, but nothing like this geopolitical, geoeconomic, nothing like this. And the application of AI.
Well, what you're describing in the behaviors and the mindset of a potential CEO seems to me to be things that individual should be thinking about years before he or she might be eligible for a CEO role. So that's the kind of thing the board of directors should be looking at in terms of encouraging the organization to make that kind of training available to people as they come up through the ranks. Because when the CEO is about to retire, it's a little late to be preparing people to step in.
So I do succession.
Yes.
And now what's happening, we're bypassing the L2 layer. The direct reports of CEO, most of them are not eligible to be CEO.
Right.
So we're not picking 35 years old who have come out from this background. And we're saying, we're going to teach you the CEOship, but you have your basic skills that we need to have. Now, fantastic job Doug McMillan of Walmart has done. He began to do all this around 2020. And he brought somebody who is a technology AI-based person, experience. The largest market for Walmart is America. The new CEO of America is a digital head. He's learned 2 years apprenticeship of retail. That's what's going to happen. It doesn't happen, you're not going to go ahead. And we have to find those people. And they are there. But we're going to take a risk on the right skill and personality and give up something on experience. That's a big trade-off for a board.
Sure. Well, I can see the importance of education years and years before somebody gets into the corporate environment. Little children, for example, need to be taught not just arithmetic and how to read, they need to be taught how to learn.
Yes, right.
How to learn and teach them to have an excitement about learning. And then that will serve them for the rest of their lives.
Exactly. Roger, when I recruit CEOs, because I do the interview, I've done that in India. I got 2 of them the other day. I plot their learning curve and show them. It's pretty. It's pitiful. But they have never done that. I said, I want to see that. And they can't fool anybody. I tell them first, it's your life. If you don't fit, you'll be out. And you will have a major loss that the company will.
Yes.
So let me give you the real feedback. And they like it. I said, well, find the right job for you. If you have a good material, you're going to find the right fit. It's true. Oh, they write me notes of gratefulness. He said, nobody ever really took us through. We do all the assessments. Nobody. That takes 6 hours.
Well, after 60 years in boardrooms around the world, you have seen companies rise and fall, strategies succeed and collapse, and leaders face their defining moments. In your view, is this America's defining moment, and what does rising to it actually require?
It is a defining period. It has begun a long time ago. A leader like Trump, with all his noises, his drawbacks and everything, he picked the right issue. He doesn't have the people behind him as a public yet. It will be needed. So it is a defining period, not just for America. It's for Japan, it's for Germany, it's for South Korea, it's for Australia, it's for Brazil. People need to understand it's not America alone.
Well, if you could give one piece of advice to the next generation of leaders navigating this rivalry, what would it be? What would you tell them?
My argument will be, it's an old one. You have your mind looking on the outside in. Crystallize it and learn. Spend your time distilling what's happening here. And if you're not learning every day, Raja, you just remind me, I do this every night. Honest to goodness. What's my learning today? And there are days it's 0. And I also ask, because I act with CEOs almost every day. I said, where did I foul up? There is no better source of learning than talking to CEOs on their direct reports.
Well, it goes back to asking the right questions, and you are famous for being able to do that.
We learn it, we do that. Today, I was in a company all day designing a new strategy because the market's changing so fast. And we go through the set of questions, and we have a new vision, new strategy, new goal. And next week, I'm going how to execute it.
Dr. Ram Charan, thank you so much for joining us on Leadership. This conversation has been extraordinary, sobering, and galvanizing at the same time. What strikes me most is that Ram is not a politician, he's not a general, and he's not an economist. He's a man who has spent 6 decades inside the rooms where decisions actually get made, sitting beside the CEOs and board members who shape the real economy. And from that vantage point, he's telling us that something profoundly serious is happening, that it is accelerating, and that the window to respond is narrowing. Ram has given us a playbook, not of lamentations, but of action. The book is China's 90% Model. Be sure to leave a review of our podcast. Even a single sentence fuels the algorithms that promote the great content that the Leadership podcast provides. And for free resources to help you in your leadership journey, go to leadership.net. That's leadership.net. Thanks again for joining us. Until next time, stay safe, be happy, and spread good cheer wherever you go. For Leadership, I'm Roger Dean Duncan.